usually the opposite of uniformity, but the shifts in time form a certain parity. With the gesture of buttons comes clarity.
Uniformly, randomly, in search of paradise clarity. Buttons, y'all. And I want to talk about an interesting phenomena that's happened to me recently. As of the last 2 months or so, I've been listening to debates. And these debates are primarily surrounding the belief in God. And these debates are interesting because they are atheists, mostly, who are expressing why they don't believe in God. And there are callers who come in with these arguments, and there's just this discourse about the belief in God. And it's made me think of myself in many ways, because I grew up in a very religious household. I have a book about this called Wait a Minute, Type or Faith, which is currently online. You can listen to it. It's 2 hours though. But it's sort of my relationship with the church, or the search of higher understanding. And it's called Wait a Minute, Typo or Faith. So I speak about briefly, it's a book about, I would say, the angle and the angel of both the spiritual, which is the angel, and the material, which is the angle, and how we're kind of put into these places where we have to wait a minute, because it's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? What am I aligning my stars with? What framework am I using? And so I'll go into that based off of my experience. But it's also a very heavily poetic book, because I'm a poet, if you didn't know it, and I enjoy symbols. But even on the discussion of symbols, I think of the ways we express ourselves and how we connect with each other. And it's interesting how we believe what we say we believe in. How can we defend that said thing? How can we give an answer, an explanation, a source, right? Like, that affirms this belief. And belief is one of those personal things. We all have an ideology. We have a set of values that sort of like narrate our lives. And sometimes we're just doing things and we're not really sure why we're doing it. We're just saying things and we're not sure why we're saying it. It's just regurgitation of information, which is the current project that I am working on. I pretty much already finished it, but I have to build it into a book, because it is a book. And these last couple of weeks, I've just been taking in a lot. I'm not making as many videos as I was making. I'm not writing as much. I'm having to read what I wrote. So I'm in the editing stage of a lot of things right now, and I have to get back into, or at least I want to, I desire to get back into speaking of what I'm doing and sharing and expressing and connecting and all of those things. So when I think of regurgitation of information, it's exactly the idea of regurgitating all the information that we receive. And we all end up doing that in some way, due to even overwhelming sense of process or a lack of process. You can throw up because you ate too much. You can throw up because you're not eating enough, But the information, a lot of it is regurgitation, and it's kind of like figuring out where certain things are coming from. Why are we regurgitating it? And what are we consuming? What are we practicing that shows and demonstrates all of these different correlated or contradictory sensibilities that we all live in this life? So I am very fascinated by just what makes someone believe a certain thing, and how far they're going to tell someone what they believe, and what kind of mind would convince one to go all out and be like, look, this is what I believe, and for those that don't believe it, then this is what I think of them, XYZ. So I am learning, as we all are doing. I think a lot of us are online and we're listening to all of these different people talk about very heavy conversations, some of them very fun, but all of them still, some of them very serious, of course. And there is a need for reflection and observation, inner search, explanation, all of those things, so that we understand what's going on, because nothing is just here. There's a origin story, and there's a lot of misinformation. Even though all of us are online, of course, that doesn't mean we're getting the same information, or even if we're understanding what we're getting. There's reading and then there's comprehension, right? Are we understanding it? That's what we gotta ask ourselves. So anyways, random video, but again, I hope to make more videos like this, sort of not named or talked about through poetic sense ability, because, you know, it's kind of hard to get into. But I want to work on my captions to these videos. That's why I captioned this video, whatever I captioned it, because it's like, are you watching? If you are, tell me where you are when it comes to belief. I'll get into my story. I did give a plug-in for my book, Wait a Minute, Type of Faith, because it was a labor of love, and I would love for folks to listen to it if they would like, and tell me what they think about this search for higher understanding. I intro myself as URISOPC, uniformly, randomly in search of paradise clarity, because that's my poetic way of saying I'm constantly in the search of higher understanding, to understand it and to reflect it. Buttons. That's all I'm saying right now in this video. Thanks for watching. Blessings. Uniformly, randomly, in search of paradise clarity.